Lalonde is a Leafs coach, an assistant coach with the Leafs. The Leafs hired Derek Lalonde to be an assistant coach. Let's go!
Do you have a humiliation kit? This is all I ask you to do.
I'm having a great finger flick.
You're allowed to show up. This team is ruining my life. I'm taking crazy pills.
With you, wherever you are, welcome to LFR. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know this is weird that I'm making this video, and a lot of you are like, see if this is a waste of time. That's what you said last year when the Leafs hired Lane Lambert to be their assistant coach. Now, Lane Lambert actually is no longer a Leafs assistant coach. He just left for the Seattle Kraken to be their head coach. And it's fascinating because I actually think there's a lot of parallels there. And I think this could work out as a pretty good signing for the Leafs for a lot of the same reasons as I thought of Lane Lambert. Now, first of all, let's talk about Lane Lambert. Okay, he's no longer with the Leafs. What are they losing? Before we talk about what the Leafs are gaining, well, what did they lose? Why was there an opening to begin with? Let's back up. Lane Lambert was head coach of the New York Islanders. It didn't go very well. Then he joins the Toronto Maple Leafs staff as an assistant coach, and a lot of people go, Lane Lambert? Well, I think you're grading him on the wrong criteria. Lane Lambert was a head coach with the New York Islanders for like a year and a half. He was an assistant coach with the New York Islanders and the Washington Capitals and the Nashville Predators for 11 seasons, and those 11 seasons with him behind the bench went very well for those teams, including a Stanley Cup in 2018 in Washington, including back-to-back Eastern Conference final appearances in 2020 and 2021 with the New York Islanders, where ironically, he would end up losing in the Eastern Conference final to Derek Lalonde's Tampa Bay Lightning. Lambert came to Toronto to run the penalty kill. The penalty kill, defense, goaltending also, which is all part of that, they were strengths for the Leafs. Maybe they went away by the end of the season, but they always go away by the end of the season. It's all right there, Lane. We don't blame you for it. I hope no one blames Lane Lambert for it. It's like going to a cow farm and getting accused of farting. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I'm not the reason it stinks. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I'm not the main reason it stinks in here. You know what? I'm gonna pat myself on the back. That works really well. Anyway, generally, I think Lane Lambert did a very good job as an associate or assistant or whatever his official title was. A guy who works for Craig Berube. I thought he did a very good job here, and he has a track record of doing that very well in the NHL. Now he's gone. Now Derek Lalonde comes in, and you might know him most recently as being on Sportsnet and people making mean jokes about his appearance. This was the best tweet that I saw from Neeler. I'd say I'm over the moon, but he might try to steal it. You get it? They say he looks like Gru, the Despicable Me guy, the Minions guy. Ironically, Steve Carell, hockey player. Derek Lalonde, also, before his coaching time, a hockey player, a goalie. I didn't actually know that about him. And it actually kind of makes one of the more significant moments in Derek Lalonde's career, at least when it comes to broadcasting, it makes it more interesting. After Game 4 of the Leaf series with Tampa Bay in 2023, Derek Lalonde, who was an assistant coach with the Lightning at the end of the 2022 season, at the end of the Lightning making it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. He was then the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, who weren't in the playoffs, so he goes on TV. He talked on TV about how the Lightning did a study about Andrei Vasilevsky and his flaws, which include shots from the point, and how the Lightning completely rearranged their whole defensive structure around that. And the Leafs were killing the Lightning from the point. It was weird to watch. Not weird that the Leafs were winning a playoff series, although, now that you mention it, yeah, kinda. It was more the downfall of Andrei Vasilevsky, which was something to behold. The guy was unbeatable for years. But, just like Lane Lambert before him, Derek Lalonde was a really good, really decorated assistant coach in the NHL. Then he became a head coach with a not very good team, had not very good results, and people were like, oh, this guy sucks. I don't think it's as simple as all that. Because head coach and assistant coach or associate coach or whatever it is, it's not the same job. It's not the same responsibilities, the same day-to-day, the same minutia. Now, we haven't officially gotten exactly what Derek Lalonde is going to be doing with the Leafs. I would assume running the PK. Sometimes they rearrange things. The Leafs have Mark Savard, who ran the power play. They also got Mike Van Ryn back there. Now Derek Lalonde joins the staff. So, Steve, you look back at the 11 years of assistant coach experience that Lane Lambert had. What does Derek Lalonde have? Actually, a lot less than I thought. Now, he was a university assistant coach from 2003 to 2011. First 3 seasons with Ferris State University, and then moving on to U of Denver for a long time. Became head coach with the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL, won a championship his first season. 2 seasons as head coach with the Toledo Walleye of the ECHL. They had 2 incredible regular seasons, 50 wins and 47, both of those in 72 game seasons. Lost in the 3rd round, lost in the 1st round. Head coach of the Iowa Wild in the AHL for a couple seasons. They never made the playoffs. But then the 18-19 season, he joins Tampa Bay as an assistant coach. We only have 4 seasons worth of assistant coaching data for Derek Lalonde in the NHL. It's incredible. All 4 seasons were with the Lightning, and we're talking like the Lightning. Not today. Today it's like the Lightning. We're talking about they were terrifying. The 18-19 season, they set an NHL record with 62 wins. It was the best regular season of all time. And then they got humiliated in one of the most humiliating first-round defeats of all time by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The next season, the 19-20 season, they are much better, and then the world stopped. And then they came back in the playoffs, and they were much better. And they beat the Blue Jackets, got their revenge, went all the way to the Cup final, and beat Corey Perry, meaning they won the Stanley Cup. The following season, now there's fans actually allowed back in the buildings, and they go in the playoffs, and they do pretty well, and they go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and they beat Corey Perry, who was with a different team, mind you, and they won the Stanley Cup. The next season, they're still really good. They run into the Leafs in the 1st round, and they lose game 1, and they lose game 3, and they lose game 5, and do they lose 6 or 7? Of course they don't. And they go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and they couldn't beat Corey Perry because they had Corey Perry, and they lost! I know the Cup final's on right now. I know Corey Perry's in it. Take from that what you will. So during his 4 seasons in Tampa, President's Trophy, Cup final. Yes, that's pretty good, actually. Let's run through the stats of those teams, and you can't necessarily apply all of them to Derek Lalonde, but yeah, he gets some credit there, man. Regular season points over that stand. They are first. They are the only team to eclipse 400. The Leafs are 5th. They never won a playoff round during that stretch. I'll never forget them. Goals for. They were first in the entire NHL. The Leafs were only 6 goals behind them. They were second. They never won a playoff round during that span. I'll never forget them. Goals against over those 4 seasons. The Kraken are not the best. They just weren't there for most of it. But if you take away the Kraken, the Lightning were 5th over that span. Very, very good. Elite. Power play percentage over those 4 seasons. 2nd. Penalty kill. 3rd. Now here's the nitty gritty. Here's what you actually care about. Wins in the playoffs, 48. The next closest team was Colorado with 38. The Lightning had 48. The Avalanche had 38. The 3rd place team had 29. The Lightning had nearly 50 playoff wins over that span. One other team hit 30. Goals for per game over that span. They were 3rd. Goals against per game over that span. They were 2nd. Second only to the Montreal Canadiens, who they beat. Power play percentage over that span, they were 5th. Penalty kill percentage over that span, they were 8th. That is noteworthy. Wait a sec. Why is it so low? I have a theory, and I looked it up, and I think I'm right. The Lightning's penalty kill in the 2019 playoffs against Columbus was 50%. They scored 8 goals against the Blue Jackets and allowed 19. They allowed 5 power play goals in those 4 games. But I'm not saying that to say it's a bad signing. I'm saying that to say that's a 4-year sample size, and out of those 4 years, Tampa's defense and penalty kill and basically everything were pristine. The Tampa regular season stats look so good because they were great every regular season. The playoff stats are very good, but not quite as good because they were only good for 3 out of the 4. The 3 out of the 4 where they were great, though, they weren't just great, they were the best. Stanley Cup, and then Stanley Cup finalists. They were the best team in the East 3 straight years. Best playoff team in the East. And, maybe worth mentioning, this is a true stat, by the way, the Tampa Bay Lightning have not won a playoff series since they lost Derek Lalonde. Are John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning Derek Lalonde merchants? You have to ask. The answer, probably not. A few of them got old. That's about it. Look, if you're judging this signing based on how Lalonde was in Detroit, I think you're doing it wrong. Look at it the same way we looked at it when Lambert was hired. How was he as not the top bench guy? Now, I was a lot more confident looking at Lane Lambert's track record and saying, hey, look at this, because he did it for a longer time, and more importantly, he did it with more than one team. With Lalonde, it's like, well, you had Vasilevsky the whole time, you had Hedman the whole time, you had Sergachev the whole time. Like, was McDonough on all those teams? Like, dude, it was stacked. Stacked, and specifically stacked back there. Also, you got to take advantage of your situation. There's a chance that Derek Lalonde would be a pretty good head coaching candidate for someone to hire. Here's the problem. There's no jobs. There's one. The Dallas Stars fired Pete DeBoer this morning. That's it. That was the only vacancy. You know what? Screw it. Until he gives me a reason to think otherwise, I think this is a good signing for the Leafs. So, let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. But for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends, tonight we steal the moon!